The Stay in Mexico program reenacted by the Biden administration is forcing asylum seekers to wait in that territory for their hearing. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel has met with the Culture Guild to promote the presence of arts in the creation and strengthening of a national identity. China has reacted sharply to Canada and United Kingdom's decision to join the United States diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Hi, this is From the South. I am your news anchor, Dio Martin. From the Telesur studios in Havana, we begin with the news. A measure that forces asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their hearings before the U.S. Immigration Court has been reinstated. The measure, known as Stay in Mexico, was reinaugurated by Donald Trump and is now being taken up by President Biden. This Wednesday, Mexican authorities reported that the first 2 migrants were deported as part of the reinstatement of the U.S. policy. Some 70,000 asylum seekers have been subject to the rule, which was approved by President Donald Trump in January 2019 and suspended by Biden on his first day in office. From Mexico, they fear that the shelters along the northern border will be full as a result of the application of the norm.
We start today by receiving the first people. We know that it has transcended because there have been 2 people who have been returned through this border. We must remember that finally there are cases detected by the U.S. authorities who believe they should be returned, to wait here for their appointment to enter again to the United States to attend their hearing before the court.
Likewise, the application of the measure by the United States generates anxiety among the thousands of migrants who could be deported from the United States.
It is terrible because one comes fleeing from one country, trying to find a better solution, both for one's family and for one's life, and it is quite nasty to be sent back.
Haitian unionists denounced fuel price hike due to the withdrawal of subsidies promoted by Prime Minister Ariel Henry. The coordinator of the Coalition of Motorcycle Drivers, Journal Civil, condemned the measure taken by the executive, which stipulates increases of up to 115% in fuel, and joined the criticism made by union and political sectors such as the Association of Political Organizations, which described the decision as a bloody measure against the poorest people in the country. Several of these structures called for a popular mobilization against the decision to force the government to back down as it happened in mid-2018 and in the middle of this year. The new prices will be effective as of Friday. And in Colombia, a new day of protests against the murders and crimes committed against native peoples is starting. The organization will denounce massacres, selective assassinations, threats, recruitment of minors, forced displacements by criminal structures, and armed actors that have caused a profound humanitarian crisis in Cauca and southwest Colombia. They also seek to point out the incompetence of the government in the face of the crimes suffered by the native peoples of the region. Spokespersons of the unions emphasize the peaceful nature of the protests. However, the government has prepared 2,600 metropolitan police officers for the formality of the protests. President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, commemorated the Day of Loyalty and Love to Hugo Chavez during a meeting with governors and mayors of the Great Patriotic Poll elected last November 21st. The head of state remembered when on December 8, 2012, President Chavez went live on national television to the country. The message was clear, he said, choose Nicolás Maduro to preserve the Bolivarian Revolution. Maduro emphasized that 9 years after Major Hugo Chávez's last speech, the people have risked their lives for their loyalty to the Bolivarian project, even in the midst of the most adverse circumstances.
Years later, Venezuela can say the Bolivarian Revolution is alive, standing, victorious, riding the times of this 21st century towards the years to come, towards the decades to see Victor riding.
The president of our digital multi-platform Telesur, Patricia Villegas, highlighted the arduous task that had to face President Hugo Chavez after the destabilization attempts that current President Nicolás Maduro is now assuming.
Standing of Commander Chavez of who should take the reins of the country in the same instant of it something happened as finally happened and obviously choosing Nicolás Maduro is to choose the new subject of the attacks. It is no longer just the Commander Chavez, who is still being sick, receive ruthless attacks of all kinds. If we also said the figures to whom he hands over the flags of a whole movement constructed, that if one part of the intervention and the other without doubt is what you mentioned, the unity.
The United States Department of Treasury sanctioned 2 of Nayib Bukele's government officials for alleged acts of corruption. The director of the El Salvador prison system, Osiris Luna, heads the list of officials that the United States government has included in the list of the global Magnitsky Law. The report from the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, of the Treasury Department establishes that the officers directed, organized, and facilitated covert negotiations and meetings of the criminal organization MS-13 with high-level penalty facilities. Together with Luna, his mother Alma Yanira Mesa, and the Director of Reconstruction of the Social Tissue, Carlos Amilcar Marroquin, are sanctioned. We'll be right back after this very short break. Don't go away. Hi, welcome back to From the South. In Cuba, President Miguel Diaz-Canel met with the students and the Professional Artists Guild to promote the defense of the national identity. The meeting was held this Wednesday at the Palace of the Revolution, where they exchanged ideas on the defense of the identity. The first secretary of the Central Committee of the party and President of the Republic, along with directors from the Ministry of Culture, training institutions, and recognized personalities of the arts world, pointed out the plan to insert art in community projects to engage society into a different dynamic. He also stressed the importance of enhancing cultural life and promoting the presence of artistic creation in the social processes we are experiencing, systematizing and expanding them.
Art instructors from schools do not have to be disconnected from those of the House of Culture, or vice versa. But the work of integration is part of the work of institutions. It is important to have art instructors who also have good content and can pass it on to children in a differentiated way from the time they start in primary school. That was Fidel's dream, to enjoy arts from a social standpoint.
Jamaica's Attorney General confirmed that work has started to make the Caribbean island a republic, with an announcement expected by the end of the second quarter of 2022. Attorney General Marlene Malahu Forte explained that a document is currently being prepared for the Prime Minister on the matter, who has already given instructions for the Constitution to be amended. Barbados recently became the world's newest republic by removing Britain's Queen Elizabeth II as head of state and inaugurating a president on the 55th anniversary of its independence. Analysts noted the move could lead other former British colonies to take the same step. While former Jamaican prime ministers have made commitments to start the process for the past 4 decades, nothing substantial has happened. However, following Barbados's move, calls became louder by Jamaicans, including former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, who wrote an open letter to Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the leader of the opposition, calling on them to ensure that Jamaica is a republic by the time the country observes 60 years of independence in 2022. In Bolivia, the child population between 5 and 11 years of age will enter the vaccination phase against coronavirus. This was announced by President Luis Arce through the media. The vaccination schedule will have 2 doses with an interval of 21 days in between. The Bolivian leader explained that Sinopharm vaccines will be administered to approximately 1.6 million infants. It should be recalled that the government has applied more than 8 million vaccines, including AstraZeneca, Sputnik V, and Johnson & Johnson in children over 12 years of age. To date, the Andean nation has suffered 19,000 deaths due to the pandemic.
We have decided that vaccination will be extended to children between 5 and 11 years of age. Our specialists have worked hard in the last few weeks to gather information, evaluate studies and international reports, and it was decided that the Sinopharm vaccine will be used for this age group. The process will be the same as for the other age groups, 2 doses with 21 days interval.
And the World Health Organization announced on Wednesday that early data indicates the Omicron variant of COVID-19 may more easily reinfect people who have already had the coronavirus or been vaccinated than previous variants, but could also cause milder disease.
Data from South Africa suggests increased risk of reinfection with Omicron, but more data are needed to draw firmer conclusions. There is also some evidence that Omicron causes milder disease than Delta. But again, it's still too early to be definitive.
As well as that, more transmissible does not mean more virulent or more lethal. Yes, if we allow the virus to transmit unchecked, it will generate more. We saw that with Delta before and with other variants. If they're allowed to spread unchecked, even though they're not individually more virulent or lethal, they just generate more cases, they put pressure on the health system, and more people die. That's what we can avoid.
Uganda has confirmed its first case of the Omicron COVID-19 variant as the vaccination drive continues. The virus was detected in 7 travelers from South Africa and Nigeria who arrived at Entebbe International Airport on November 29th and are currently in isolation. Those affected were said to display only mild symptoms. The arrival of the new variant has driven some previously vaccine-hesitant Ugandans to get a jab, fearing the country could return to the scenes witnessed during the second wave of the pandemic. Around 7.6 million vaccine doses have been administered in Uganda since the rollout began in early 2021. The confirmation of Omicron cases in the country means the new variant has been found in at least 9 African countries.
Our concern is not so much like it used to be when the pandemic had just arrived in our country, because there are few cases and they are not being admitted because they are saying it's not severe like the way it used to be.
I didn't vaccinate from the first start, so today I decided to come because of the new COVID. After getting to hear the news of the new variants, I decided to vaccinate so that I don't get the COVID, the new COVID.
As a Ugandan, I'm not worried as such because it is a variant of corona. We know the processes of how to stop its spread and to avoid it. You have to follow the SOPs as we've already been told. Social distancing, wearing masks and sanitizing and washing hands. So those are the basic things that we have to follow. And I think they go all along whatever variant it is. And fortunately, we've even been told by reports that actually its effects are not as adverse as even the Delta variant. So I don't think there's so much cause for alarm. It is something that we can handle as long as we follow all the SOPs and get vaccinated.
There's more stories coming up after this final short break. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back. China has reacted sharply to Canada and United Kingdom's decision to join the United States' diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, calling the boycotts a political posturing and a smear campaign. The Chinese embassies in these countries criticized their decisions to boycott the Games, stating it would not improve already chilly relations between them. Speaking at a news conference, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Xiao Lijian said no one would care whether the diplomats came or not, emphasizing that athletes are the most important thing in the event. The official also reiterated many times that sports have nothing to do with politics and the Olympics is a grand gathering for athletes and sports lovers, not a stage for politicians to perform.
The use of the Olympic platform by the United States, Australia, Britain and Canada for political manipulation is unpopular and a way of isolating themselves. They will inevitably pay the price for their misguided maneuvers.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that no United Kingdom government minister will attend the Beijing Winter Olympics, calling it effectively a diplomatic boycott against China.
A diplomatic boycott of the there will be a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. No ministers are expected to attend. What I think the House and no officials, Mr. Speaker, but what I can tell the House is that I do not think that sporting boycotts are sensible, and that remains the policy of the government.
Social Democrat Olaf Scholz has been sworn in as Germany's new chancellor, ending 16 years of conservative rule under Angela Merkel and paving the way for a pro-European coalition government that has promised to boost green investment. According to Bundestag President Bärbel Bas, Scholz, who served as vice chancellor and finance minister in Merkel's outgoing government, got a clear majority of 395 votes from lawmakers in the Bundestag, lower house of parliament. The former chancellor handed over the chancellery to the new leader of Europe's largest economy, which is facing a brutal fourth wave of coronavirus infections. The new government aims to step up efforts against climate change by expanding the use of renewable energy and bringing the country's exit from coal-fired power forward from 2038, ideally to 2030. It also plans to do more to modernize the nation, including improving its notoriously poor cell phone and internet networks.
I'm very grateful to what we have done so far. I'm looking forward to start this new task, all this work. It will be a new beginning for our country. I will do my best to achieve it.
And negotiations between Iran and world powers aimed at salvaging the 2015 nuclear deal resumed in Vienna, the European Union confirmed on Thursday. Diplomats from Britain, France and Germany urged Tehran to come back with realistic proposals after the Iranian delegation made numerous demands last week that other parties to the accord deemed unacceptable. Last week's talks were the first in over 5 months, a gap caused by a new hardline government assuming power in Tehran. The United States has participated indirectly in the ongoing talks because it withdrew from the accord in 2018 under then-President Donald Trump. The accord sealed in Vienna in 2015, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, was meant to rein in Iran's nuclear program in return for loosened economic sanctions. The Russian Defense Ministry published images showing French warplanes escorted by Russian jets above the Black Sea, in a move that is not uncommon but comes amid escalating tensions between the West and Russia. Russia sent military aircraft to intercept and escort the 3 French fighter jets that were carrying out a NATO observation mission in international airspace. The operation took place professionally without representing any danger or hindering the mission of the French planes or their freedom of navigation in international airspace, said an Army spokesman. After the Olympic boycott, the president of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, highlighted that this sports celebration is not of political character and will accept the decision taken by each athlete.
You know, on the athletes, the games are about and for the athletes, and therefore you will hear the same comment from us for every political decision from any government. We have been concerned with the athletes. We welcome that they can participate, that they are supported by their national governments, and the rest is politics and our political neutrality. The principle is...
Well, we've come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at Tell Us Our English. You can also follow us on the social media for the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Tell Us Our English, I'm Dio Martin. Thanks for watching.